Welcome to another episode of the Adrienne Ross Show, where sports and culture connect. And welcome to my first ever premiere. I've never done a premiere before. So if you're watching this as it's actually premiering, you're going to be in the comments, and I'm going to be in the comments with you, commenting as I feel to jump in there. And if you're watching it on the playback, enjoy. Now, this is the perfect time for this topic. The 2025 WNBA season has now come to a close, and playoffs will be starting on Sunday. So I did a video before this season began. It was a survival guide. I called it a survival manual for Caitlin Clark / Indiana Fever fans. I said, you're going to need these principles. And I had 10 of them. I called them 10 pages because I was calling it a manual. So I said 10 pages. Now, I'm not going to go through all 10 of those pages, but we're going to go through chunks of what I shared in that video. And you listen, you watch, you tell me if I was wrong or if I was spot on. I knew that these things were going to be needed. I had no idea how much. So some of you, you're going to be looking at this and going, nah, you did that video after the season started. Or no, you just did this video after last night because that's just too spot on. Nope. This was done early. And some of you have seen it. I had people who said to me during the season, this season that was like nothing we expected. I had people come and say, I've had to watch that survival guide video a couple times. Someone mentioned it to me just the other day, actually. So I decided now that we were approaching the end of the regular season. So I watched the video again and I'm like, oh my goodness. No, I could not have imagined how accurate I was, but something in me knew that Indiana Fever fans, Caitlin Clark fans would need something to hold on to. And that's why throughout the season, you heard me say several times, if you haven't watched the survival guide, you need to watch it. If you haven't watched that video, you need to watch it. So now that the regular season is over, I just think it's a good time to go back and look at parts of this. And I'll jump in and intersperse my current thoughts. I just said, this is a good time to stop and think and reflect on what I figured we would need to survive this 2025 season. So you guys enjoy the recap or the summary or whatever you want to call it, and enjoy the chat. And I'm right here with you so much. Now, we know that last season was Caitlin Clark's rookie season, and it was a doozy. It was a doozy. In fact, there are people who didn't make it through the full season. They said, I can't do this. I can't do the physicality, you know that word in the WNBA, that badge of honor. I can't do the physicality against Caitlin Clark. I can't do the narratives that are out there. I can't do the negativity. And some really said they weren't watching anymore, particularly with some of the physical stuff that went on. And that's a shame because a lot of people said, I'm following her from college into the WNBA, and I just want to see her play. Other people said, I've never watched basketball before, but I'm really fascinated by her skill, her talent, her ability to handle herself in front of the media. I'm going to watch. They got guys who never watched women's basketball, and they said, I'm watching. But there are bodies strewn all over the place. People who said, I can't do this. I can't. Between the media, the mainstream media, and between fans of different players and teams who somehow thought that they were going to browbeat people into supporting whomever they support, people just was like, this is exhausting, like for real. And I get it. boy, do I get it. So I'm not going anywhere. I done told y'all that last year. Many would like us to go away. We're not going anywhere. Okay. So what I have for you today, I've got a survival guide. So this is a manual for Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark fans, because she seems to be at the receiving end of a whole lot of narratives and stuff. We want to make sure that we are dialed in this season. We ain't going nowhere. We're not going to be run away. We are going to be here. And so we need to be able to survive another WNBA season. So in my creativity, I have created a survival guide, a manual for Caitlin Clark fans in particular, but really Indiana Fever fans, because they are a team. How do we survive? How do those of you who say, okay, I'll give it another try, how do you hang in there? How about those of you who just love good basketball? Maybe you always watched basketball. You're not necessarily new. Wherever you stand on that, whether you've been here forever, whether you're just showing it, whatever it is, how are you going to survive this 2025 season? Well, I got it for you, and I'm going to go through it. 10 pages, and each page is pretty simple, but I tell you what, it'll help you survive this 2025 season. Are you ready? Get your pens or your fingers, if you're typing, get this out, and I want you to remember this. Now, this is lighthearted in a sense, but I seriously mean what I'm saying. So it's kind of lighthearted, but it is really the real deal. All right, page 1 of this survival guide for CC fans, Indiana Fever fans. It's really simple. Have fun. Have fun. And with all the nonsense that went on and goes on, when you thought it was basketball and cheering for a player and a team, it got all kinds of ways off track. Remember that this is about fun. Don't let anybody ruin that for you, because I'm telling you, I read comments. People come after me all the time, and they want to do their best to kill the joy of the game and you rooting for players. Don't let them do it. Have fun. That might have seemed like an odd place to start talking about having fun, but you guys, you will know if you've been with us through this season, especially in the live streams, you have seen that I didn't just say, hey, you guys do something that I wasn't doing. You saw how committed I was to keeping my platform one where people could have fun, where I had to say, this is going to be a fun, positive experience, and it's not going to be overrun with incredible negativity. And I was very intentional about doing that. So I wasn't just preaching to y'all. I held the line as well. On page 2, and this will help you do page 1. Limit your social media engagement. We talk about the players needing to do that. Try not to get caught up in all the drama. And I know it's hard to avoid. It's hard for the players to avoid, but we have been people who said maybe they need to shut off some of their social media. If you want to continue to have fun and be in this thing because you like the Fever, because you like Caitlin Clark, you might want to limit your social media. It's a cesspool. I kind of go through and look for what I want to look for, and I keep it moving. Did I lie? Did I lie? No. Social media is such a cesspool. And you guys know, because some of you hang out in the cesspoolery. Yes, I made the word up. I kind of go in and go out. And I have posted more than I have done in years just recently, just wanting to come in and be positive, engage maybe very little, and keep it moving. Because you hang around in the cesspool too long, you start to smell like the cesspool. You start to act like the cesspool. So that was what I advised. And I'm telling you, it was good advice to survive, because out there on those social media streets, as they say, You guys can vouch for it. I'm sure it can get really, really ugly, and it just sucks the life out of you if you let it.
Page 3, come to trusted sources for information. That used to be the mainstream media before the mainstream media, including the mainstream sports media, became the lamestream media. Can't always trust what's put out there because there's an agenda. You figured that out by now, right? If you've been around longer than a day, you figured it out. So come to trusted sources. And in many cases, it's not the mainstream media. In many cases, it's what people are looking to mostly now for all kinds of things, not just sports. And that would be people who are podcasters, people who are citizen journalists, as they call them, people like myself, for one. But you've been around for a while. You know the people you trust. Make sure you're dialed in there and don't just go to the mainstream. I'm not saying everybody in the mainstream can't be trusted, but I'm saying, be careful.
We have to continue on to see what else I said, but that right there might have been the most spot on thing I said in that survival guide, in that manual, because I had to really, really tighten my circle, because the rage baiting there's always clickbaiting, but it became rage baiting. It was just like, who can you trust? And you could hear people, they're coming at you, throwing stuff at you. And I'm like, I can already tell what you're listening to by what you're saying. And I do say, be very careful. And I hear from people, I still hear from people all the time who say they don't trust everybody, right? Or they can't handle everybody. They can't handle, and I don't mean like, oh, they're not man enough or woman enough. I mean, they don't want to handle all of the stuff that goes on out there. And I've had people say, these are the people I listen to. And thankfully, for many of them, they listen to the Adrienne Ross show and they feel like, I'm not going to gaslight them. I'm not going to try to rage bait them. You want to be where you can be trusted. And like I said, this really, really played out in such a way that really surprised me this season. But to survive, to have the fun we talked about, those kinds of things, it's so important that you are careful. And it's not generally, we know the ESPNs and all that, but it was not even just that. And it wasn't even just outside the fans for Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. Probably, yeah. Anyway, let's keep going.
All right, page 4. Be smart enough to recognize the plot. And this goes from the media to people on social media to maybe people who live next door, okay? Meaning next door to you. Recognize that there is a plot to pit players against Caitlin Clark. They wanted to do that with Juju. They wanted to make Juju be she was Caitlin Clark before Caitlin was Caitlin. And the same thing with Paige Beckers, who's obviously playing for Dallas. They want to make that whole narrative. Everybody has a narrative. Okay, that's fine. But what they do is they push it and push it and push it. And next thing you know, people are like not appreciating other players. They're making Paige pay the price for these narratives out there and the deception that's out there. They want to make Juju pay the price. And I know Juju's not in WNBA. I'm just using her because she's an obvious example. But they will take any of these players and they will try to put one against it. They've done it with people on Caitlin's own team. Remember, Cheryl Swoops. Others, they're not doing Kelsey Mitchell right. And then the next thing you know, people are throwing insults at these innocent players who just want to play basketball. Don't let them do that. And even well-meaning people will do that. So all of a sudden, folks are mad at Paige Beckers and folks are mad at Kelsey Mitchell and folks are mad.
Oh my goodness, wait. Did I say the last thing I said was probably the most spot on? That one right there. We can just park right there. We are seeing this with Paige. It's like you can't just, if someone makes a comment about Paige, somebody else got to go, oh, well, Caitlin did this. If someone says something about Caitlin, well, Paige did this, and pitting players against the same team. Oh, my goodness. This whole season has been like that with Caitlin's own team. Well, let's demonize Kelsey Mitchell and let's demonize this person, and they don't like the white people and all the it's like, and in the midst of it all, this team, the Indiana Fever, Caitlin Clark and her Indiana Fever have stayed together, and all the plethora of people who have come in tell us over and over and over again, this is the tightest we've ever been. But I told you that it was going to happen. I didn't lie. It happened. I guess it still is happening. Like I said, my circle is really tight, so I'm not even trying to feed off of the stuff. So I shut that down. But man, if that ain't the truth, if that ain't, said the English teacher, the truth. Let's keep going on that same one.
That's why they keep this thing going. Nah, not doing it. We can enjoy various players without being resentful of them. But that's what they do. They get in your ear with that nonsense. Page 5. Listen, take your patient pills. I'm not a pill pusher, so this is metaphoric, okay? Those patient pills are going to help you because it takes time for a team to gel. So you're a Fever fan, and you might go, this isn't what it was supposed to look like. What's going on? This isn't how they did it. They're not doing what I thought it was going to be so easy. Well, think again.
Think again.
It takes time. It takes time for the players. It takes time for the coaches to figure out the rotations. It takes time. I hope they bust out right out of the gate and just smoke everybody. But it may not happen that way. Or if it does start out that way, just like a game is a game of runs, a season and a team. There are runs, there are ups and downs and bumps and bruises, as well as the highs and the highs and the highs. You got to be patient, because I'm telling you now, if it's possible for you to blow a gasket and not be patient, you'll see it happening.
Did you see it happen? Did you see the impatience? Did you? This is just reflection, right? We talked about, like I said, this is surviving 2025, how to survive in 2025. Even if you're not thriving, can we just survive? But you heard me right there. If it's possible for you to blow a gasket, you're going to blow a gasket when things don't look the way we thought they were going to look. And we could spend all day talking about how that didn't happen, or patience with players or coaches or whomever. If there's a way for you to get boom, your head explode, I'm telling you, there are brains scattered all over the place from this season. My brain is right where God put it. I knew. Let's go. No, wait. Let me say this. Of course, I didn't know that we were going to have all these injuries. That I didn't know. But I know that I knew that there was a lot of expectation in this season. That's why I said be patient, because even if you start out, boom, out the gate, things happen, and you have to say, how are we going to be? If you're a team, how are we going to be if things go awry? This team has done a good job, but the noise on the outside, patient pills, some of y'all didn't take them. Some of y'all did. It's been really fun hanging out with the people who said, I'm throwing in a whole lot of patient pills. And we helped each other get through, and we still are, because the season is still going on. Let's go, Fever.
Page 6. CC fans, Fever fans, you're not always going to agree. And the reason why I'm saying CC fans and Fever fans, because some people really have come into the space more because of CC. Some people are like just all Fever fans. So hopefully every CC fan is a Fever fan. But we as CC fans in particular need a survival guide, because she's really been the brunt of a lot of the stuff, people coming after her, and then the team by extension. So Remember, you're not always going to agree. You don't have to agree. You don't have to fight and claw and everything. We're on the same team, right?
Right?
Fever fans, we're in this together. We're surviving and thriving together. Okay, page 9. Choose your battles wisely. I have to do that as a podcaster. You have to do that as well, because some of you like to get out there in the social media space and really go after people. But choose your battles wisely. You can't fight everything. But unlike some people, I don't believe that you never push back. I don't believe that you never say anything. Some people feel that works for them. That I don't, not just sports, but in general, whether you're talking about politics, whether you're talking, whatever it is you're talking about, choose your battles. But you can't just say, oh, we're not going to push back on anything. No, that's what they're expecting. Some people are like, oh, it's not worth it. I'm like, not everything is, but some things are. And sometimes you have to say, oh, wait a minute, hold up. That's not the way it went down. And now page 10. I'm just going to repeat page 1 because they're like bookends. Have fun. This is basketball. These are players we enjoy. It's a sport we enjoy. I'm going to get out here and I'm going to talk about where sports and culture connect. Sometimes it's more the X's and O's. Sometimes you see me, I'll break down a video that I saw in terms of a basketball drill or the basketball play on the court. And we'll talk, or in the members, I'll do basketball lessons and different things like that. Some of it is that just basketball talk. Some of it is the cultural aspect and how that intersects, as some people say, collide. So either way, I am going to have fun. The killjoys out there, I'm going to push back when I feel the need to. I'm not going to allow people to ruin the fun of this 2025 season.
And once again, that took intentionality because we came into the season, we just were so pumped up about the season, and then people just started dropping like flies, and people didn't take their patient pills, and things just got really weird really fast. But like I said right there, I'm not going to allow people to take over and be a killjoy. Some people had a huge problem with me for that because they thought that I should allow them to ruin the fun, not just about me, but from everybody. And I'm like, no, I already told you all, I'm going to have fun. Even when I'm yelling at the television, when I'm saying make your layups, even when I'm doing that, it's still, it's we don't have to, why come all together and be miserable and make it miserable for everybody? So it was a decision that I made, and it was a decision that you all had to make. Either that or you just decided that you were not going to have fun and just hang out with other people who wanted to be miserable. But so many people were like, this is still fun. This is the community. This is how we kind of got through all this stuff. Because let's be honest, losing and losing and losing and losing, that's not a whole lot of fun. So you have to kind of find a way to embrace the good stuff. And we've managed to do that here with some friction and some battles. But if the players are trying to figure it out, then like we certainly can do that, right? So proud of this Fever team because you can tell they have managed to have fun through the really tough stuff. And we're not talking about like just a loss, but people who have been really injured, like bad.
Have fun. The players learn that if you're not having fun, it's hard to perform well. You're not having fun. So enjoy yourself. Enjoy what it is to be a fan. I know people have totally twisted what it means to be a fan. They've called you all kinds of names. They've called me all kinds of names. They come into the comments and they want to browbeat me into cheering for their favorite player, or they want me to pretend someone I don't think is great. And if I don't agree, then they want to totally destroy you. It's not going to work. We're here to have fun. And I can be serious too. This is where sports and culture connect. But we're going to have fun. You got to have to make up that mind This is your survival guide for 2025. Those of you who are Fever fans, Caitlin Clark fans. Hey, I hope you took good notes. Like I said, this is kind of fun and lighthearted, but the principles that I'm sharing with you in this here manual, in this here guidebook, spot on.
But we're all making it work. We are surviving. We have survived the regular, at least over here in the Adrienne Ross Show, for sure. We have survived this regular season, and the team has survived. Moving on to the next step. Now it is onward and upward to the playoffs. Survival guide is still in effect. It has not expired. I'll catch you next time, God willing. God bless you abundantly.